start by saying something uncomfortable. Most people will never heal from their childhood trauma. Not because healing is impossible, not because they're weak, not because they didn't try hard enough, but because almost no one understands what healing actually requires. When I say 98% of people, I'm not quoting a clinical statistic. I'm naming a pattern I've seen everywhere, in families, relationships, therapy rooms, workplaces, and my own life. An overwhelming majority of people grow up wounded and then spend the rest of their lives adapting to those wounds instead of healing them. And adaptation can look very convincing. You can be successful, you can be productive, you can be admired, you can even be happy, and still be deeply, unresolvedly hurt. Healing isn't rare because it's complicated. It's rare because it demands something most people were never taught how to do. Turn inward without running away. Before we go any further, let's be clear about something. Childhood trauma doesn't always mean abuse. It doesn't always mean violence. It doesn't always mean something extreme. Trauma is not defined by what happened. It's defined by what your nervous system couldn't process. Sometimes trauma looks like emotional neglect, inconsistent caregiving, being parentified, being shamed for emotions, growing up around chronic stress, never feeling seen, heard, or safe. Trauma is what happens when a child has big feelings and no safe place to put them. And when that happens, the child does the only thing they can do. They adapt. Adaptation is not healing. This is where most people get stuck for life, because adaptation works. If you grow up in chaos, you become hyper aware. If you grow up unseen, you become high achieving. If you grow up unsafe, you become self-reliant. If you grow up emotionally abandoned, you learn not to need. And these adaptations are praised. You're called strong, mature, independent, responsible, resilient. But nobody asks what it cost you. The nervous system doesn't forget why it adapted. It just keeps running the same survival programs long after the danger is gone. This is why so many adults say, I don't know why I react like this. I don't know why I sabotage good things. I don't know why I can't relax. I don't know why I feel empty. You're not broken, you're adapted. And most people mistake that adaptation for healing. Why most people never question their adaptations. Here's the first reason most people never heal. Their pain feels normal. If you grew up in emotional chaos, calm feels boring. If you grew up with criticism, peace feels suspicious. If you grew up invisible, attention feels uncomfortable. The nervous system doesn't seek what's healthy, it seeks what's familiar. So people recreate their childhood environment in adulthood. Same emotional dynamics, same power imbalances, same wounds, different faces. And because it feels familiar, it feels like me. People don't heal what they identify with. If your trauma became your personality, healing feels like self-betrayal. The lie of time heals all wounds. This is one of the most damaging myths ever told. Time does not heal trauma. Time buries it. Unprocessed pain doesn't disappear. It goes underground. And what goes underground controls you from the shadows. That's why someone can be 45 years old and still emotionally react like they're 7. That's why small triggers cause massive reactions. That's why intimacy feels threatening. That's why rest feels unsafe. The body keeps the score, even when the mind forgets the story. Emotional avoidance, the real addiction. If I had to name the real reason healing is rare, it would be this. Most people are addicted to avoiding their own feelings. Not consciously, not maliciously, but habitually. We numb with work, phones, relationships, achievement, spiritual bypassing, positivity, productivity, anything that keeps us from sitting still long enough to feel what was never allowed. Healing requires feeling grief that never had witnesses, anger that was never safe to express, fear that was dismissed, needs that were unmet, and that feels terrifying. So people say, I'm over it. It wasn't that bad. Others had it worse. I've forgiven them. Forgiveness without feeling is avoidance in disguise. Why healing feels dangerous. Here's something no one warns you about. Healing doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you belong to. If you were the peacemaker, healing disrupts the system. If you were the strong one, healing scares people. If you were the one who never needed anything, healing threatens relationships. Families often unconsciously resist healing because your pain played a role. When you stop overgiving, someone loses comfort. When you set boundaries, someone loses access. When you stop performing, someone feels exposed. So many people stay wounded not because they can't heal, but because healing would cost them connection. And as children, connection meant survival. The body remembers that. If this explanation stirred something in you, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system recognizes truth. You don't need to heal all at once. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to stop running. Because the pain you're avoiding is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to be heard. And the moment you listen, the cycle begins to break.